Hello, my name is Spencer Hardwick, and welcome back to another edition of Coffee with the Candidate. I'm with my wife, Phyllis Hardwick, who's running for the Missouri House of Representatives 19th District. And before we get into our discussion today, I wanted to let folks know that on Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m., Phyllis will be hosting a town hall discussion on Zoom. This will be a fantastic opportunity for the folks of District 19 to learn more about the candidate as well as the broader community. With that said, Phyllis, it has been quite a week. I thought it would be appropriate to start by just getting your general reflections and thoughts on everything that's transpired over the past 6-7 days.
It has been a week. I think we were still processing the death of Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia. We now have eclipsed 100,000 deaths in COVID and are still very much so in the thick of a pandemic and trying to figure out what it looks like to reopen safely. And you had the death of George Floyd that has both served as an additional instance of undue use of police force that is putting into the light once again conversations around what does it look like to have community policing. What does it look like to have men of color be able to move in different spaces and be able to do so without fear from the police, who is supposed to, protect and serve? So I think it's been an absolutely long week. I am in the thick of trying to respond to all those emotions like the rest of us. And I think that this is going to be a week that we're going to be talking about for a long time. I would be interested to know what you're thinking and feeling, though, love.
Yeah, I mean, three big emotions come to mind. The first, I think, is just an anger that we're still here. We're still in a place where police brutality is, pretty normalized around the country in a lot of different ways. The second one is a frustration that after all these instances, even after they've been videotaped, that you still don't necessarily see the type of change you think you'd see. And so that is, I think, particularly aggravating right now. And then the third is actually a wonder. We've seen this now national narrative play out. It's on everyone's timeline. It's on everyone's news channel. I'm wondering what folks are going to do next. I know what I need to do next. I know that with our community, the steps that we should be taking. But I'm wondering how this hits people, what it makes them, or what it moves for them to do. With that said, thinking about your candidacy and why you ran, how have the events over the past week amplified or influenced that?
Yeah, and I think it makes me understand why representation is important and why you want elected leadership that can provide people a roadmap of how we can move through these moments and take lessons from them and make a different reality on the other end. I think I've been disappointed by some of the lack of elected leadership. We participated in some of the protests, and it was a pretty apparent who showed up to be able to hear that pain that we are all feeling, and who didn't. And I think that for me, it's really important to make sure that I am connected with our community and understand what it looks like for us to support one another in times of success, which you've heard me talk about, and then also what it looks like for us to be with one another in times of deep pain, anger, and frustration like the one we're going through right now.
Keeping in that local lens, what has this moment meant for our community?
I think our community is like every other one, and trying to grapple with, to your point, what do we do next? I think that we know community policing is important. I think that we've actually made strides in our community around community policing. I've seen the same police officers routinely at our community events, and that's because they feel connected to the community like we do. And so I do think that there is an opportunity for us to continuously design what it can look like for there to be a true partnership between community and police. And in that environment, we would think that the instance where George Floyd was killed by a police officer with three other, police officers in near proximity wouldn't happen if there was that deep connection between citizen and police.
With everything that we've talked about and the reflections we've had, what have you seen that gives you hope?
I'm hopeful by a lot. Like everybody, I try to keep up on the videos and kind of what's going on. And you see instances of police stepping into the moment. I think we've seen now several police forces take knees or participate in the protest because they too are angry with what they saw on the video. And I think that you're seeing instances of police members and frankly people who are not directly impacted by police brutality, like some folks of our community, trying to understand what this means for them and what they can do. And so I think people are listening more than they've ever listened before. I think people are trying to seek out what does it look like for them to be a part of the solution. And I would love to see more of that moving forward because our community is one that's well equipped to do that, given both our diversity, our love of each other, and the fact that we have people who are different in their experiences with these issues all coming together to try to have these conversations.
And that's a wrap for this week's Coffee with the Candidate. Again, Phyllis will be hosting a town hall 6 o'clock p.m. on Zoom this upcoming Thursday. Details on that will be in the link posted below this video. We appreciate your time and have a great week.
Stay healthy, stay safe.